Hey everyone, this is Cindy. It's an open door according to the numbers and my interpretation of them on the computer. It's October 17th. It's the hour that we have entitled Sharing the Word, and we're currently reading the channeled work called Resurrection, the guides through Paul Selig, and our beloved Amy and Sandra facilitate this hour. But as what has become our habit, we're beginning with a clip of the guide. So let's do that first. Man, I love being here. I love us, and here we go.
Now understand discord. If everything is operating in tone, discord is something that is operating oppositionally or out of tune, which means alignment with the higher. And the release of the discord of your collective times is now present for you in order to witness it. And indeed, you will have to witness it in order to move beyond it. You don't get the free pass to ignore your own creations as you lift to the upper room in vibration, because you are and have been in accord to these creations. We always have to say this for the new student who believes that manifestation is about getting something. How do I get what I want and I was told to desire? How do I get the thing I have always yearned for? Tell me how to get what I want. And then you look about the lower field to see if it has appeared or not, or you look to some idea of an angel to grant you this wish. If you wish to understand vibrational accord, you will begin to see that everything you see and bear witness to, you are indeed in alignment to. The relationships of the life, the things you see out the window in your neighborhood, and the things that you see occurring in your world that may cause you fear or pain. We are not saying that you made the war, but we are saying you are in alignment to the idea of war because it's what you have known, what you have claimed, and what you have been confirming through your expectations. In general, it is safe to say that you get what you expect, and if the world that you've known has always been operating in deceit or from a place of corrupt ideology, you must understand that what is being claimed by you is what was agreed to. And as you begin to shift beyond this, one and then two and then many, you are actually shifting beyond an idea of separation that has indeed been in accord, vibrational accord with all of these things. Now you must understand that you will not stop a war by claiming that the war be stopped from the lower field, because you are still operating at the level of collusion with the creation that was indeed created at that level. But indeed, you may alter the very fabric of anything in manifestation by moving to the higher and then claiming the active presence of the divine upon it, within it, and as it. And the simple claim, I am in God, I am of God, I am with God, must support you at a level of realization of what is always true. And from this spaciousness, and we use that word intentionally, I am in God, I am of God, I am with God, you may indeed reclaim all things in accordance with what we call the upper room, Christ consciousness, if you wish, or quite simply the next octave of tone available to humanity as its change is occurring. And we said its change because indeed it is humanity reality that is undergoing this change. Now, some of you think that this is prophecy being fulfilled. Others of you say this is an idea of a probable reality that may or may not occur. Some of you may say it's time for humanity to make up its mind, go or come, or decide to live or extinguish ourselves. Indeed, what is occurring is actually tantamount in some ways to being driven to the edge of a cliff where you discover you must fly. To be decided upon by a world that is in chaos as to how things should be, to continue to contribute to that chaos through acquiescence to it, is to align to the fear that seeks to reclaim all things as of itself. Understand this very simple principle. The action of fear is to claim more fear. Every choice made in fear gets you more of the same. Each time you are told to be fearful, you are inviting more of the same, and you are claiming that as manifest reality. We are not saying do not pretend to see. We are not saying deny what is before you. We are actually saying to know it from the higher octave of vibration in order to re-know it in a higher way so that you are not being shepherded by it. You are not being shepherded towards deceit. You are not being shepherded towards your ruin. You are actually being lifted to a level of tone where that old shepherd, the one that would operate in fear, that would perhaps drive you across a cliff, across a bridge that will collapse under your weight, you instead are moving to a level of flight. Now, what flight means in this accord is indeed lifting. You are indeed lifting past the level of creation that has been informed by fear and endowed with all of the evidence of separation. The evidence of separation comes in many forms. It may be the dividing line of a neighborhood. It may be the border of a country. It may be this kind of idea of wealth and that kind of idea of poverty. And it may enhance your understanding of how special you are or how another should be envied or perhaps pitied. But all of these ideas are claims of separation. When you move to an agreement or vibration accord with the source of all things, you do indeed move to equality. Now, some of you think equality is financial. Some of you think equality is a social structure, but indeed it is something quite other. It is the knowing, the inherent knowing, and knowing means realization that you are all of the same source, and that no human life is worth more or less than the one beside it, regardless of their place of birth, their status in the world, what they have to give you, or what they may require from you. Once you understand the true nature of the inherent divine, everything is altered. Everything is altered. Everything is altered.
Thank you, Cindy. Hey, so good to see everybody here. Hey, Lonnie. Lonnie, do you recognize that thing about equality from last night? Oh. All righty. Well, I put where we are in the chat. We're on page 52 at the top of the page on that first paragraph that begins, "Now party means." But before we begin, let's just open it up and see if anyone has any thoughts about the video that we just watched. And then anyone who wants to read today, I'll just make a list of folks that want to read, and we'll take it from there. So anybody have any thoughts about the short video that we just watched? The reason that I mentioned equality is that in finding the Advaita in A Course in Miracles yesterday, we were on chapter 260, or page 266, chapter 6, part 2 of section 2, which is titled The Unification of Abilities. And the unification of abilities is essentially saying exactly what Paul just said. What is unified and what is equal is that each one of us is unified and equal in our ability to know ourselves as of, with, and through source. Mhm.
I think this just so perfectly aligns with what you were teaching us yesterday.
Thank you.
And that what we were talking about yesterday, and how once you're moved, I feel like what the guides were saying is that once you become in a vibrational accord in the upper room, everything has changed. You see everything differently. And it goes back to that question of harm that we were discussing yesterday, that you only want to love. You don't want to participate in harm. It doesn't mean things won't continue to happen. They do happen. But for those of us that are forever changed from our encounter with the divine, we're vibrating at another level, and we are seeing things very differently. And that's what I heard the guide saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's hopeful. Like it's kind of a little bit of a juggle where it's like, oh my God, like stuff is gonna keep happening, even though we're like feeling all these like wonderful, like it's just like you feel the presence of it, but like, which I guess is part of the challenge, maybe, is that you just, it is that you have to stay seated in that knowing that it is, you can't deny the divine in anything, even if it is like the most atrocious thing. It's like, in truth, it's like, it's not real. But yeah, that does take, like, it does take a little unwrap. It's not that transition isn't immediate either, but it is like, it's hopeful, and it's a good like reminder. Yeah.
Thank you.
I also think that you just trust it, and you know it. And we do know it. We would not be here if we were not called. And you know, when I had my brain injury, I knew immediately. I knew immediately that. Well, no, actually, well, I don't know. I knew when I needed to know. I knew. I knew. I knew that God was with me. I knew I didn't know I couldn't talk. I didn't know, but I knew God was with me. I knew that. I had no doubt, and I trusted whatever was happening. I knew that I would be told what to do. I knew that, and I was every step of the way, every single step, and it took time. I will tell you, it took time. I don't even know how long it took. Maybe like a month, 2 months, or 3 months. I don't know, but it took time. But I knew God was telling me. I knew that immediately. So we're always guided and loved, and it's, for me, it's breathtaking. I don't care about anything else.
No.
because I know this love that we all are of our Father. I know it. And I'm always guided. So I don't care what happens because I trust it completely. And I know everyone does because everyone is called here. And I love all of you. We are all one. And more and more and more, we are just being told. It's so amazing to me.
Thank you, Indigo. Hmm.
What's coming to mind so powerfully right now after listening to Indigo, which always touches my heart, it like your words pierce, is what is there to be afraid of? Who is there to fear? When we know the truth of being, there's nothing to fear. Fear no longer has a grip. It's loosened and then it falls away.
All right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Lonnie says that's why I was in tears in class yesterday, the sheer beauty of it all. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And we are it, right? We we are the creators. We're just in love with ourselves. Right? It's amazing. All right, who would like to read today? Raise your hand and I will. Cindy wants to read. Okay. And who else? Indigo. Okay. And Pat. Anybody else want to read? Rick wants to read. Okay.
And Patricia raised her hand.
Oh, okay. All right. Super. Cindy, do you want to go start us off? We'll see how far we get.
And Lonnie has asked for the page number again.
The page number is in the chat. It's right up at the top of the chat, page 54, page 52, first paragraph. Now party means we are not the entirety of the teaching.
Yep. And just a technical thing with Zoom, when somebody enters Zoom, they only see the chat that occurs after they entered. So if anyone showed up after you posted that, they won't see that part of the chat.
Ah,
Secrets of miscommunication. It's a beautiful thing. Shall I do this?
go for it, Cindy.
Now, party means we are not the entirety of this teaching. While this teaching is in some ways a distillation of truth, the truth that is behind this text is an eternal truth. It exists in every landscape, without time, within time, in any realm that incarnation expresses. In other words, the idea of resurrection is an imprinting in the energetic field of all things. Paul interrupts. But aren't there aspects of creation that are already present and embodied or resurrected? Indeed, there are. But your presupposition is that this becomes static, an arrived state where you sunbathe on a rock in your resurrected state. Everything is in motion. Everything is in fulfillment. And while one day you will will rejoin the cosmic we, as we would say, become participatory without the idea of self in the wonder of being. Everything you see is also in evolution. And it's interesting because what comes up for me as I'm reading this, and yeah, the hairs are standing up on the side of my arms, is a pointing that was so meaningful for me from the podcast we discussed yesterday, which was that this is a continual unfolding, this recognition that we begin where we are. I feel like I'm a person separate, so we begin there, and then we move into this sense more and more of being the witness of and connected as the witness and the dreamer, and then the sinking into the realization that there is no dreamer, there's just the dream. And until we get to this point of deepening into that there are no words at all that imply witness, imply separate, imply a dreamer of a dream, or the Holy Spirit as the bridge, all beautiful expressions that are the current experience. But as long as those are in this process, it's not all that useful to state I have arrived. It's more useful to say, here I am, and this is the experience, right? And at some point, what the guides are saying here, which was so like what that podcast said, at some point, there's an embodiment of the Buddha, which only, it doesn't matter how often it happens. And at that point, there's no discussion. There just is. So that's what's coming up for me as I sink into this paragraph.
The
And there's
Course
so
at
many.
one point calls the Holy Spirit the transformer of perceptions. And it doesn't really, I haven't encountered that phrase again yet in my reading of it, but I love like that. I feel like it's a helpful way to look at.
Yeah, I love the various names, the guide, the teacher, the bridge. It's not a person. It's an energetic, it's sort of an energetic cohesiveness that combines and pulls together what is separate, whether that's through idea or being or energy or whatever possible form you can imagine. The thing that struck me about this was that the truth, this teaching, is an eternal truth. This teaching of oneness, this teaching of returning to the awareness of that we all are of source, with source, in source, as source, that it exists in every landscape. I love that. Every landscape throughout time, within time, in any realm that incarnation expresses. It's almost like a way of saying the universe breathes out and then it breathes back in again. The in-breath is inherent in the out-breath.
And like every part of it is just reflexive in its like magnitude and like minuscule. Like it's just like from every, I forget, I was looking through this like abstract spiritualism like book the other day, and I forget which guy said this, but it was somebody like who was painting like 100 years ago. And he said, God geometrizes. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. Like, that is like, yeah. I can't stop thinking about that all the
May,
time.
what does that mean?
It's like God geometrizes. Like it's like there is this like I think inherent structure, and it's like when you recognize that structure and and the ways that it extends, like and like especially like from 100 years ago to now, the leaps and bounds we've made in like kind of uncovering that in our like human ways or whatever. But it's just like it seems like that unfolding is completely true just through the extent of all creation. Like there's like I think it's just it means like I think it means like a through line. At least that's my interpretation of it.
It's very evident in all the patterns in the universe. The patterns in the cell, the patterns in the spirals, the patterns in the fractals along the coast, the coast of the continents. That's what I picked up when May said geometizes. It's just so evident in all the patterns.
I encourage folks, if you're interested and you have the time, to check out Andre Duques's podcast, his interview with Donald Hoffman. It's 3 hours long, but he is attempting to find a mathematical formula for consciousness. And I don't understand the math or the physics, but it's a really interesting discussion. It's a really interesting discussion. Yeah, well, anyway. All right, Cindy. Indigo is next. Cindy, do you want to read any more? Do you want to read another?
Well, there's so many people on the
Okay.
list. We don't need to hear Cindy's voice anymore.
All right, Indigo, can you pick up with Now As We Speak? And you have to unmute. There you go.
Sorry. Now as we speak. And as we interpret, we are somewhat aware of the limitations of language. As I like misplaced my glasses. I don't know where they are.
Okay. Would you want to find them? And
Yeah.
we'll have Pat read next, and then you can read after Pat.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Pat, take it away.
Now, as we speak and as we instruct, we are somewhat aware of the limitations of language as can be spoken through Paul, or, for that matter, any medium for such a text. The requirement for him is to align the mind to the station we sing to him from and allow the broadcast to be present in an uninterrupted state for the benefit of the reader or, yes, the student. His interpretations are condoned because, finally, they are useful to the student and the reader, and for the presence of this embodiment to manifest in the fullest way possible. The body of Paul is actually a shift now, which means it is moving upward in its density to be able to hold the teaching at this level of tone. And the effect of this is that he becomes the doorway, less so for us, but for the presence of the kingdom that is implicit in all of you already. You want to say something, Cindy?
Yeah, I want to ask all of our Course in Miracles experts what this means. You know, I'm always very aware when someone speaks a word other than what's in the book. The Dago, when the word was instruct, she said interpret. And then, you know, you could say in the worldly view that Dago didn't have her glasses, but she spoke every other word correctly. But then we moved on to Pat. And Pat read this paragraph. Instead of reading, this is the way I received it anyway. What I have in my book says his interruptions are condoned because what I heard Pat say, his interpretations are like you too, Lonnie, you heard that as well? So from a Course in Miracles standpoint, my sense is it's the ego that interprets. And why is it that that just showed up twice in this one paragraph? I'm just curious because it's sort of lighting up here as something to look at.
What do you think, Cindy? I mean, you noticed it. What does it mean for you?
Well, it's my understanding that the moment something in here is chewing on what I'm receiving, as opposed to knowing what I'm receiving, like when I'm listening to the words come in, when I'm in conversation and that part of this mind is coming up, it is interpreting based on my conditioning. And I also have been noticing how it's coloring the whole experience. And to me, it's just lighting that up, especially with what I had said before about, in truth, there's just this knowing, there's not a lot of words. It just, I mean, it gets me really excited when stuff like happens. Like it feels like the egoic system or the imposter self or the dualistic part of the mind is just being lit up, at least for me to see. And it's the only part of this system anyway that needs to interpret, because whatever you want to call the Christ consciousness or the Holy Spirit or the higher, I mean, there's so many names. It doesn't need to interpret anything because it's just hanging out in the knowing. That's what's happening here.
Okay, thank you. It's interesting that each reader inserted a word that made perfect sense. Right? It just expanded upon the meaning of the sentence. It didn't change the sentence at all. It just expanded upon it. It changed the tone of it a little bit, but it made sense in the sentence.
Well, I actually remember reading interpretations and thinking as I was reading it, going, yeah, I guess so. He's interpreting things. It's interesting.
Because that actually is what they're saying in the sentence, is that his interpretation is actually becoming more accurate as he rises, as the body shifts, means it's moving toward in its density to be able to hold the teaching at this level of tone. So that actually was a correct interpretation
Well,
of interruption.
I'm looking at it now, and right up on top of it is in an uninterrupted state. So it's really kind of egregious that right after that, I said a different word because it's the same word right on top of each other, uninterrupted and interruptions. That's really
Redundant. Yeah.
But then, the thing I was thinking was like, requirement for him is to align the mind to the station we sing to him from and allow the broadcast to be present in an uninterrupted state. And I in my mind went to my love affair with the radio from the time I was, I don't know, 8. I always had a little radio, and I'd write it and put it in my basket, and songs would be playing. I guess there was, before that, there was also, because I know just a million songs, and it was always on, and so I was feeling nostalgia and affirmation at the same time that, I was always tuning in to something. Yeah.
All right. Well, Lonnie says that I wonder if their interpretations, if the words speak to their receipt of the words. And I think, yeah, that's absolutely. It's how you both received the words. All right. Well, and Dago seems to have found her glasses. Would you like to read starting from as you work with these teachings?
Yes, thank you for waiting.
Always.
As you work with these teachings, as you embody though, as you embody through them, you become this doorway, which simply means the body as vehicle, an energetic vehicle, becomes a conductor for the higher frequency that prior to this only accessible as spirit or through the energetic field. When the body becomes conduit, the body becomes participatory through its resurrection, which simply means in a higher reconciled state with the reconciliation that can be present through any interaction. You are singing the note as the note is sung through you. Wow, that's amazing. As the note is sung through you, you become the expression of the note. You sing this note without intention. It becomes who you are. This is re-articulation. But the note, once sung, informs all that the note encounters. It lifts all things to itself through co-resonance. And as we often said, a new world is sung into being.
And Dago, would you read the next paragraph too?
Mhm. When you read this text, we would encourage you to begin to sing this note, which requires no work from the vocal cords, but the simple intention to align and then express through this alignment. The claim, I am in the upper room, and the following claim, I see you in the upper room, which is perception as actor or the one lifting what it perceives to the upper room to be present as you read and walk the streets of your lives.
Thank you. There's a lot in those two paragraphs.
So much. We should read it like 2 or 3 times.
Cindy. What came to mind for you?
Well, it's again, it's a slight differentiation in what I heard being spoken versus what I'm reading on the page, and how the difference here feels like it's, for me here, a subtle way of holding duality in place. And I'd like to read it both ways, and see if you could feel it. What I heard was, when you read this text, we would encourage you to begin to sing this note. What is in on the pages reads, when you read this text, we encourage you to begin to sing as this note. And chills again. It reminds me very much of this process when I realized that before the intensive, it's not here now, that I was very willing to surrender all of me to God, to truth. But when I heard from my inner guidance that that required receiving all from God, there was this huge egoic backlash, this separation. To sing this note means to be in service of God. To sing as this note requires that I never left my source, and I'm, the extension of that which created me. And for me, the difference is everything. Having the best time. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm feeling the energy of what we're saying yes to here, and it's just lighting me up from the inside. So that's what I
Yeah,
got.
it's the last sentence.
May,
Yeah.
Alka was
Oh,
wanting to say
Mandy.
something.
Okay, it's okay. The only thing I was going to say was that I also heard the first version, but as soon as you read the other one, sing as, that seemed, I had this feeling, I can do that. Whereas there was a lot of resistance to saying, how can I do that? The first sentence, but as soon as you said the second version, there was just unspoken something in there that, yes, I could do that. That's more doable. That was my reaction to it.
Thank you. Thank you. May.
The last sentence. Or it's like, I see you in the upper, which is perception as actor, or the lifting of what it perceives to the upper room, to be present as you read and walk the streets of your lives. The phrasing of reading and walking the streets of your lives is such, it completely perfectly demonstrates like the we come here to learn, like attitude or attunement or something. Yeah, I found that very like striking. It was just like, yeah, like we are all going to get there. Like no matter, like we just keep reading, like we just keep walking. We follow the path, and like we will be led there. It's very hopeful again.
Thank you. Lonnie, do you want to say what you put in the chat? Okay, but the singing as is not a song, but a being, an opening to allowing the flow through. Yes, that's kind of what really what stood out to me. As the note is sung through you, you become an expression of the note. So it's both and. It's being both the one that is sung through and the singer at the same time. And that's that to me is really powerful. It's multidimensional in that way. Yeah. It becomes who you be. So, and there's another thing I noticed here. So in the first paragraph, it says the note is sung through you. And it says very clearly that you sing this without intention. And in the second paragraph, it says the simple attention to align. You make the simple attention to align. So we're almost getting two different expressions here. One is that the note is sung through you. And the second is that you have to have the intention to align. And I don't know if anyone noticed that there's a contradiction there, or the appearance of a contradiction there. Let's open it up. Cindy and then William.
I just wanted to say that my understanding of the teachings is that the note is being sung. And the simple intention to align is required to lift this expression up and to become more of service, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's aligning. It reminds me of a Bill Hicks comedy routine that I love. I'm on a roller coaster and I get to choose whether or not I am going to be enjoying it in the flow of the ride, or am I going to be screaming and suffering the whole way. But either way, I'm still on the roller coaster. So the intention in many ways feels like, what kind of experience am I going to have in this moment? That's all that's here at this moment. So
Thank you.
there you have
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. William. Thank you.
I'm resonating with the two words that I heard from Indigo. New and know. So powerful. And I see and hear this expression of the note. It becomes who you be. Once sung, it lifts all things to co-resonance, and a new world is sung into being in the world of knowing and then knowing. She knew that. So I just am so struck by that once known, it does carry us forth in a new world. And I think that's being in that higher plane wherever and whatever. So that's what I get out of it.
Thank you. Thank you. That takes us back in some ways to the video that we watched before we started reading, which is that the knowing is available equally to everyone. Because it's what we are.
Yeah. And we extend it through knowing that it is available, and like that's the only way to extend it, is to recognize it in everyone, even if they don't see it, it's still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is in interrupting our fascination with the world of thoughts and what we aren't, and turning our attention to what we all know at some deep, deep level.
Yeah.
I looked up the definition of monad the other day, and it just means single-celled organism. Not.
Yep. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing. Yep. So what I'm getting out of this, oh, I'm sorry, Sandra, go for it.
I just feel like in some way, in every way, over and over again, I am being told, we are being told, that you don't separate the sound from the instrument. You don't separate anything out. It's not a contradiction. It's both. It's all. How to explain that? I don't know. Like I play the guitar. I tune the guitar to be in harmony with the voice that's going to sing. But yet you can't separate the sound the guitar makes from the guitar itself. It's just all one. The piano, when you hit the key and the vibration starts, it vibrates the soundboard as part of the piano. So we become the note, we become it, we are expressing as it. You begin to sing as the note. It's this amazing, I mean, just to go back to awe and wonderment, this amazing instrument, this amazing being, even the form that we are in, it's all an expression of the divine, all of it. And the more I try, you used the word gestalt the other day, the more I try to like pick it apart and like make each little part something, it's the whole, it's always the whole. It's not the parts. That's the, I don't know how to express this, but that's the best I can do.
Thank you. Anybody else? I just think it's both and. It's always both and. All right, Rick is up next to read. Are you ready to read, Rick?
I'll attempt it. My computer's acting up, so if it
Thank you.
please. My pleasure. Good to be here with you all.
Thank you.
What you see before you today is merely the beginning of change, of the beginning of the change. This change will continue on this realm until the bias towards separation is reconciled or unified with a new ideal. While this sounds impossible, in fact, it is not, because your true natures are divine and have been repressed and forgotten. You see the graffiti on the landscape you exit in, the denial of the divine in every form you see. To become reconciled is to truly comprehend the claim God is, God is, God is. And when this is invoked from the upper room, the power of the claim, which is the re-knowing and remembrance of the inherent divine in matter or anything perceived, will reclaim what you see in the high octave it is summoned from. Summoned and sung, perceived as and by the divine as you, who knows who she is the one who speaks these words. God is, God is, God is. And the echo of this tone, the intent is used to reconcile or reclaim, will bring forth the inherent divine where it has been denied or where it has been refuted. We will teach you more later. Indeed, this is in the text. Stop now, please.
Thank you. That was interesting. You pulled a Cindy on us, Rick.
Uh-oh.
No, it was really good. The sentence on page 54, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences down, you see the graffiti on the landscape you exist in, and you said you exit in. And as Cindy is so well articulated, that's an easy mistake to make. Any one of us could have made that. And yet it actually fits perfectly in the sentence. Because he's saying that we're lifting out of it, out of that landscape. And so we are exiting it. I don't see it as a mistake. So I made a mistake by calling it a mistake, but we could go on and on with that one. Rana and then Cindy.
So what's coming up strongly here is, so the post-it was made, right?
Can't read it.
I am in the upper room. I see you in the upper room. God is, God is, God is. There's also the noticing that the mind wants to think that this is magic and it wants to use it to make everything go my way and never be disturbed about anything. So I'm just noticing that with non-judgmental awareness. But there's also the question that's arising big time is, Rana, are you going to just talk about this today or are you going to do it? Are you going to be willing to pause and remember as I'm walking through life, like May talked about, you know, that sentence, as I walk through life? It's all well and good for me to sit here and be like, yeah, this is the way to perceive and this is the way to think. But am I willing to put the pedal to the metal? And the next time the cat yaks or the bell for grandma rings or Kylie calls me on the monitor, or I see a flicker of news or some of the movies that my husband watches at night, am I going to employ this and become the conduit in that moment? And I'm not saying that for anybody else, but this one here. But that's the difference between talking about it. And I don't want to say do it because it's not a doing. I feel like the word is employ. Am I willing to employ this in that moment of disturbance where I notice that I'm not accepting things exactly the way they are? I think they should be different. And so whether it's subtle or big, right? Am I gonna try it? Thanks.
Thank you, Rana. What comes to my mind as you're speaking is to be in agreement to it. But thank you for reminding us, yeah, that this is about being it. Yeah, about being it. Thank you. Cindy. And then Patricia.
Yeah, so this is just a quick confession, which is so very, very grateful to see how I'm starting to listen differently. There was a assumption here, a viewpoint that when I or a seemingly other read something other than what was here, it was a way of egoic distraction or egoic preservation strategy. It was 100% of the time, I don't want to bring in what's on the paper. So I'm just going to change it so I don't have to be threatened. And I didn't realize it was an assumption until Amy said a few times, this works too. You know, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Cindy. So now I'm just looking at it as an opportunity to slow down. and to hang out in the pause and to remember to ask, why has this just been lit up? And not make the assumption that I know. So I'm really beyond grateful for everything we do together because I didn't even see that as an assumption here until just now. So thank you. That's what I got.
Thank you. Patricia and then Indigo.
Attempting to be concise. Walking in the world, in awareness, being in the now. It's like those seem to be the steps because God is. When I'm in the now, God is. So being aware that as I walk in the world, I'm thinking, come back to the moment, come back to awareness. Oh, I'm thinking, and back to the now.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. That strikes me in a certain way, but I will hold on that one. Appreciate that reminder. And Dago, what do you have for us?
I just first of all, I really loved what you just said, that to just stop and God is. And honestly, just hearing that stopped everything for me. I didn't need to do anything else. When we hear God is, that's it. We can just stop. And then it even reminds me of the teachings of Ramana, how he stopped talking because he knew that he was told that wasn't him. He was told that wasn't him. And so he was like, I'm not talking. And I feel the same way. I'm like, I don't want to talk. And I don't need to. I can just sit there in the whatever. So I'm so grateful to hear this. So, and I just love being here with all of you. It's just, to me, it's just amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Indigo. You know, there's an interesting juxtaposition here with what Indigo and Patricia said about remaining in the now and allowing the now to inform every moment, every moment, every moment. And then reading the text where he says that this change, which we are experiencing, will continue on in this realm until the bias towards separation is reconciled. And so we're in the now reading about this movement that is going to apparently allow us to sink even more deeply into the foundational moment of now and now and now, all of us. But we're there now reading about some future date or some movement that seems to be in the future that's going to make us even more of what we already are, 150%. That just struck me a little bit. Cindy.
Well, I really wanted to say, Amy, is as you pointed that out, I went right back to yesterday's podcast and the invitation to accept that there are all these, there's the really gross level and how it goes subtler and subtler and subtler. And as we keep no intention, but as this work, it's a joy now, but as this work continues to show up in our individuated spaces, that sense of separation, which includes time and body and objects on their own, just start to dissolve. But somehow the way he shared it yesterday is very alive in me.
Mhm.
But it is all the same, right? It's all these different levels, all
Yeah, all
parts of it.
happening at the same
We don't
time.
have to force anything, right? Because the guides even said this work is not intentional. So yeah, I just felt like bringing it back to yesterday,
Thank you.
which is now, right?
Which is
Talking about yesterday now.
well, as Jean Klein, I forget who it was, but when we bring the past, it was probably we bring the past into the now. We're remembering something that seemed to have happened in the past, but we're remembering it now. And there's nothing wrong with that. And also this sense that even more of the oneness will be known and experienced. It makes my heart sing. And that is what I'm experiencing in the now, in this moment. So it's never either or. It's always both and it's always as and by. It's how it feels to me. I have to get more and more comfortable holding these paradoxes or apparent paradoxes as both true. I forget who it was that a couple weeks ago we said the answer to a paradox is often another paradox. Right. Yeah. So I think Patricia's up next. Yep. And we're starting right after the pause. Thank you, Patricia.
I need to leave, so may someone else please read?
Ah, okay. Thank you. All right. Well, it was good to see you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to read? Sandra wants to read? Thank you.
I like this section. Your aspirations, in many ways, who you think you should be, what you might become, are opportunities for learning and growth. We don't deny your aspirations, even your aspiration to spirit, to know the self as of God, is opportunity. Because before anything can be made known, it must be seen as possibility. I underline this next line. Your desire for the divine is, in fact, the divine itself calling itself into being. I said your desire for the divine is, in fact, the divine itself calling itself into being, and the denial of the divine, the only obstruction to truth, must be seen as a choice that the collective has made in order to learn. So then he says, now, is this useful learning? I mean, denying the truth in order to learn? Is this useful learning? You understand the light because of the darkness. You don't deny the darkness to comprehend the light. The calamity of separation, because indeed it has been calamitous, has been to the collective in its renunciation of its source, which has propelled you all into a kind of darkness where you have become so used to the dim light that you cannot imagine there is more. Indeed, there is more. But to rush into a bright room after a long period of darkness is deeply challenging. You must become accustomed to the light. And we have taught you in gradations as the energetic field, and now as the body can hold or manage such resolute change. Now, while we are teaching you to hold the higher vibrational field, attuning you to it, and giving you an understanding of how to navigate the emotional self to maintain balance in times of great change, you must understand that the collective is also undergoing this process. I don't know if I'm going too far with this. You want me to stop or keep going?
Well, Cindy's got her hand up.
Okay, let's hear Cindy.
What you got, Cindy?
I got some excitement here. I was looking, a decision dropped, with these symptoms and the noticing of how many people yesterday, everybody, a number of people yesterday said, "You're sick. How are you feeling? You sound so sick." And there was a level of defensiveness that rose. No, there's just some symptoms here. And then this morning, I was getting messages from other people on the retreat that literally said, "Are you sick too?" So there's such an invitation to join the collective identification with sick. So I decided, the invitation came to look at this. Well, in my writing this morning, I called it an emblem. The guides like to call it an emblem, SICK. So what is it? What is the energy of sick? And there's a lot more to it, but it's just this idea of collective agreement. So I went to origin of meaning, right? The origin of the word sick is ill, ILL, or unwell. I went to the word ill, which is Old Norse. It means bad or evil. So then I went to evil. One of the origins of the word evil, I'm getting chills now, going over or beyond acceptable limits. And sitting with those words. Evil, which is ill, which is sick, along these lines in today's contemplation, is going over or beyond acceptable limits. And then something just like blew up here when I was listening to Sandra say, your desire for the divine is in fact the divine itself calling itself into being, and the denial of the divine, the only obstruction to truth, must be seen as a choice that the collective has made in order to learn. So the collective created a limit. And stepping out of that limit, I mean, I'm talking a contemplation. I don't have the answers. I just know something inside of me feels like it's stepping outside of the known. And so it's so cool to be able to say that out loud here. And chances are on Monday, we're going to be looking at the courses, what the course says about sickness. And there'll be a lot of contemplation along those lines here. But anyway, that's when I heard this, a collective agreement, it lit up this original definition of evil, which is going over or beyond acceptable limits. And one definition, original definition of ill is evil, and a definition of sick is ill. And so many people use that word in relationship to Cindy's current experience that I'm just taking it all as a fabulous opportunity to be with what is and allow it all to unfold. So that's what I got.
Yeah, there's also this relation where it could be like ill is like also illusion, and evil is a veil. It's a veil of separation. It's like the denial of the divine. I was at the point in the course this weekend where it was like sickness is like, I forget what the lesson was exactly, but it basically aligned. I was also sick. And then I was also having like very bodily experiences of spaciousness. Like this is new for me. This is like I keep feeling a tether pulling me up whenever I like really feel the divine. Like when I, which it becomes more and more frequent. Sometimes my like feet start lifting off the ground. Like I like go on my tippy toes, and it just kind of happens. It's not like I'm like making myself do it. It's just like happening. Or like my hands will lift up. It's kind of crazy, but it's also really cool. And then I had this dream last night where like I haven't woken up from a dream terrified in forever. It's been so long, but at one point in the dream, I thought it was real. I was like in the corner of my room. I was on the floor and I knew I was laying down, but I was also being lifted. And then I opened my eyes in the dream. I saw like a little creature, and then I woke up because I thought it was real. It was like an alien kind of beaming me up or something, but I was afraid of it. And then I had to coax myself out of that. I was like, okay, don't be afraid of it. Don't. It was very trippy.
I love that. Oh, we could spend a whole meeting talking about that whole thing there, May. Oh my goodness.
Is that what happened to the sailors? Some of them?
The sailors.
From your thesis.
Ah, no, but it happened to me in a dream. But we are at the end. I'm happy to stay on after this and talk with you about it.
I would love to.
So we can do that. And next week, Cindy made me the host. And so next week, let's start at in the middle. We'll go back to the beginning now while we are teaching you to hold a higher vibration. And I've kept that, I've marked that. So anyone that wants to stay on and talk about dreams after this is welcome to join. But we'll end this now and thank everyone for being here and participating in the reading. And we'll see you all next week.
I realize, Amy, you have to stop the recording.
Oh, I do. Okay. Recording.